The next Warriors book to be released will be Squirrelflight's Hope, and we already know quite a bit about it due to what was spoiled in Lost Stars. Sometime, presumably towards the end of the book, there is going to be a rock slide that sends Squirrelflight and Leafpool straight to Starclan. Then, they spend quite a bit of time there, and Leafpool stays for good, but Squirrelflight is brought back to life simply because her love for Bramblestar is that deep. That's honestly really interesting. Leafpool chose to stay, and Squirrelflight chose to live on. Leafpool fulfilled her purpose in life, while Squirrelflight wasn't quite there yet. It really makes you think. This super edition is going to be much more serious and sad than I initially anticipated. This book is going to be about death and legacy. Squirrelflight comes from the most iconic family in the Warrior Cats world, the Firestar family. When Firestar died, the books made it very clear that his legacy was massive. He played a huge role in driving out Blood Clan, defeating the Dark Forest, and several other heroic deeds. But most importantly, he was the spark that shifted the way the clans viewed each other. The clans changed from seeing each other as enemies to seeing each other as allies. That lasting influence helped in events beyond Firestar's life, such as surviving the Great Storm, defeating Darktail, and welcoming in SkyClan. So, Firestar's influence is pretty great. But what about his daughter Squirrelflight? What's her legacy? She went on a quest to find the lake, but I guess Bramblestar takes more of the credit there. She raised the three, but yeah, they were Leafpool's kits. She had Alderheart and Sparkpelt, that's something for sure. And of course, she's deputy. Squirrelflight has definitely gone further with building a legacy than most cats have. But I think it's reasonable to say that she fell short of living up to Firestar's example. Even in her super edition, she will be struggling to find her place. The description says that when a rogue group causes frustration in the clans, she is caught between her duty as deputy and doing what she thinks is right. Squirrelflight's primary duty is protecting ThunderClan, so something that Squirrelflight does in this book would have to get in the way of this. Maybe she decides that it's morally right to help the rogues out, and the cats of ThunderClan disagree with her. Now, Squirrelflight's death happens with a rock slide, and it happens with Leafpool supporting her. I think I know what this means. Squirrelflight must have went on a mission against the will of ThunderClan, and Leafpool, her loving sister, must be the only cat who supports her. Squirrelflight is breaking the code to go on this mission, and Leafpool is helping her. It's a nice parallel to when Leafpool broke the code with her kits, and Squirrelflight helped her out. Also, if Squirrelflight is breaking the code, it's a good explanation for why she appears in Shadowpaw's Codebreaker vision in Lost Stars. With this context, it actually makes perfect sense that Squirrelflight wanted to come back so badly. She didn't die the death of an honorable warrior, defending her clan. She died the death of a traitor defying her clan, wasting both her own life and Leafpool's. Most of all, she probably felt unresolved over her relationship with Bramblestar, as she spends the last moments of her life defying him, and that's why her love brought her back. Leafpool is the ultimate sacrifice, but Leafpool is okay with that, as she is repaying the debt she owed Squirrelflight for taking care of her kits all those moons ago. Now, let's talk some more about Starclan. It is absolutely huge that Squirrelflight spends as much time as she does there, and she returns with the message that the cats should draw closer to their ancestors. As I said, this book is about death and legacy. Drawing closer to ancestors is definitely a message that is telling the clans to allow the legacy of their ancestors to echo through their lives, whether that is in the form of inspiration or important lessons. When cats draw closer to Firestar, they are drawing towards the idea of working together and fighting for your beliefs. So, this is where Squirrelflight's internal conflict comes in. She is dead, and she feels that her legacy is insufficient. The last memory the clans have of her is her breaking the code, running off to satisfy her own agenda, and failing miserably. Yet, she is dead all the same. While she is in Starclan, she will be with her father Firestar, whose legacy is much stronger than hers. Squirrelflight will feel that her life was insignificant, everything she worked for, forgotten. This is actually really dark, and if the book actually explores these ideas, it would make for a very interesting plotline, especially when considering the other ThunderClan deaths in this book: Millie, Larksong, and Ambermoon. This probably won't be explored in the book, but I feel like each of these losses teaches something about death. Millie's death shows us that death is inevitable. She had a perfectly fine life, with kids and love, but she fell victim to deteriorating health in her old age, as we saw with her hearing loss in the Raging Storm. Larksong shows us death is unforgiving. He is most likely Sparkpelt's mate, and his death stopped him from being able to watch his kids grow up. Finally, Ambermoon shows us that death is random. She was just a background cat with no story. It could have been any cat, but it was her. Death didn't wait for her to become significant. Given these themes, I'm going to throw out predictions that Millie dies from sickness, Larksong dies defending Sparkpelt and her kits, and Ambermoon is just hit by some random environmental hazard. Now, out of these three deaths, Larksong and Ambermoon actually create some moral dilemmas when we consider the fact that Squirrelflight can come back, and they can't. Squirrelflight comes back from the dead because her purpose wasn't fulfilled and her love for Bramblestar was too deep. But Larksong also had love and purpose in Sparkpelt's kids. Yet, he is gone. Well, here's my idea. Squirrelflight is extra bitter over her death because it happened while she was defying Bramblestar in the Warrior Code. It wasn't honorable at all, and that causes the unresolved that brings her back. Meanwhile, Larksong's death actually was honorable because he probably sacrificed himself to save Sparkpelt and her kids. He is happier with his death because it happened out of love to his family. The same goes for Leafpool. She would have died out of loyalty towards her sister, supporting her unconditionally in the dangerous adventure. The love they shared allows Leafpool to be okay with their sacrifice. Squirrelflight had done so much for Leafpool, and Leafpool would never allow any consequences to make her regret repaying that love. Now, let's talk Ambermoon. She's just a background cat that never did anything, and now she never will because she's dead. Why doesn't she feel the dissatisfaction that Squirrelflight does? I'm going to say that it ties into the clan's beliefs surrounding destiny. Anytime a random death occurs, cats are quick to say it is the will of Starclan. As heartbreaking as it is to say this, Ambermoon's destiny was to live a normal life and then randomly get killed. The same applies to several other background cats such as Rainwhisker and Snowbush. It feels wrong to call Ambermoon a lesser cat than Squirrelflight, but I feel like this theme is really gripping at the dark reality of life. That not everyone is important enough to change the world and be remembered. And that's about what I feel the core of Squirrelflight's internal conflict will be in her Super Edition. In a world of prophecy cats, she is sort of feeling that her life's work isn't worth much. And when compared to her father Firestar's legacy, she might as well be forgotten. Then, she defies the Warrior Code out of desperation. She thinks that standing up for her beliefs will make a name for herself. But her efforts only lead to tragedy, and the bitter reality of death catches up to her. But this book is called Squirrelflight's Hope, and that's because she finds a light in the darkness of her death. That light is actually what this book was named before they changed the title, Squirrelflight's Kin. She finds purpose in her family. She made a stupid decision defying Bramblestar and ThunderClan, but Leafpool supported her through it all, and ThunderClan mourned her death all the same. And Firestar and Sandstorm will probably be super proud of her when they meet in Starclan. Squirrelflight will realize that she doesn't have to fear death because her legacy will continue to be passed down through her kits. and through the newly born kits of Sparkpal, and in the kits of those kits and beyond. Squirrelflight has to accept that she can only do so much with the time she was given, and the best she can hope for is that her legacy is passed on through her kin. And after realizing this, she gets the amazing gift of a second chance. And this time, she won't mess things up.